Alright, does anyone want like alcohol? I made sure to grab some at the local bar. Here you
Oh
go.
yes, this is our wait. Is this our wine and book club? Is this our wine and book
Oh, it's a
club?
wine and book club. Be careful, be careful. These are very strong.
I didn't get my wine. Thank you.
Take it.
Thank you very much.
Don't worry, don't worry. We live in the modern era.
There we go. Perfect.
Just sip, just sip. Don't drink it all at once. Okay, okay. CSF part 1. I am nervous. I am really nervous. Alright. Crownfall Saga, written by Tina Sayomi. Chapter 1, Dawn of Despair. The wind that swept through the borderlands was not natural. It carried no scent nor of heat, nor song of grain or stone. It rafts like breath through a dying throat, and where it passed, colors dulled and the ground grew sick beneath it. The crows avoided the sky, horses spooked without reason, and a distant haze, a dark line, bloomed across the horizon like a bruise. A border was breaking. Atop her tower of white steel and quiet ruin, the princess watched the storm roll over her kingdom's edge. Thunder cracked, but there was no lightning, not yet. That came only when the sorceress Radville chose it. She turned to her captain. Has the tree of sanctuary fallen yet? He nodded. It no longer speaks to the priests. Even its roots have gone still. Ray's jaw tightened. Then we must act before it dies completely. Far from the throne and its crumbling elegance, at the edge of withered dunes, the last survivors of scattered rumors gathered, drawn not by coin or contract, but by one name, Radville. This is fire! What the heck?
Actually, can we get someone to like record their screen with the audio?
I'm recording it, don't worry.
Because if someone can do that, then I can edit all of this later for any funny moments. Because then I want to edit footage and I want to make edits of our server and our scenes. So if y'all have any footage from the server, please give it to me so I can make edits and like videos.
Don't worry. The Sandglass Tavern. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
You can't tell, but I preheated popcorn in preparation for this. I'm eating it as we speak.
This is gas. What the heck? The Sandglass Tavern was carved into the base of an ancient dune crest, long ago swallowed by ever-wandering desert. The walls were sun-bleached bone, the ale taste of copper and cactus resin, and the patrons were the sort who carried knives more often than names. Few noticed the flower-cloaked woman when she entered. She moved back with silence, a blade being drawn. Her armor shimmered faintly in the torchlight, green enameled, set in iron. The tabard she wore bore a sigil of an outland ordered long throughout extinct, the flower knights of Erenvale, Sayomi. She ordered honey wine and sat alone. She did not drink. Across the tavern, the doors groaned a second time, and the air cracked. A man entered with his long coat, slashed with desert winds and stitched lightning. His bare arms bore sun scars like old tattoos, and on his back hung the staff of scarlet sands, bronze, obsidian, and humming with charge. He was called Lycan. The bards of the southern coast named him Matra, a stormborn of the sand dunes, and whisper thief of thunder gods. He sat near Sayomi without a word, ordered grilled meat, said nothing. Not until the third joined them. They arrived soundlessly, like smoke through curtain. They wore a cloak of sable and silence. The shadows bent strangely near their boots. The barkeep flinched at their presence and left the bottle. Sayomi studied them. Name? They smiled faintly. Call me Saturn. Their voice was neither deep nor light. It was the sound of rain on iron. A long silence hung between the three. The tavern roared with them, but within their circle, the world hushed. Then Saturn said, "You've heard of her?" Yomi's eyes narrowed. Radville. She's taken the western ward. The tree of sanctuary will be dead in days. She moves to the coast next. Saturn swirled their glass. She's building something. The sky itself is bleeding from it. Lycan didn't look up. And you know this? How? Because I've seen the wounds she leaves, and because I still bear one. Xiaomi spoke coldly. Then, speak plainly. Saturn paused. I don't come with armies, but I have her path. Xiaomi said nothing. Lycan leaned back. What would you do if we followed you? Help you, Saturn said simply. As long as your blades stay pointed at her. Xiaomi finally drank from her wine. You speak in riddles. Saturn smiled. You haven't asked the right questions. The air between them thickened like rising dust before a storm. None of them knew each other, yet all of them had crossed fire, war, or silence for the same reason. They each, in their own way, had survived Radville. Xiaomi nodded. Then we leave at dawn. Lycan stood. No contracts, no allegiances, just the hunt. Saturn lifted their cup. Then let the hunt begin. The toast was not loud nor warm, but in that moment, beneath the desert stars and torchlight flickering across sand-worn wood, a pact was made. It would be remembered by none except the dead left behind. That was gas. What the heck? What the heck?
Was fire.
Oh, how you have the book?
How you picked it up?
How throw me the book? Is this cinema? Wait, did you turn like Lycan and Saturn into like fantasy characters? Dude, why are they cool? How, please?
I think you should throw it to the side.
How, please? Hey, what the heck? I was making sure I picked up the book. All right, does someone else want to read this?
I'll go there.
Oh yeah, pass it to Lycan. Pass it to Lycan.
All right, popcorn style.
I will only read the 3 books I have on me. Everything else you shall read. You 3 shall read.
Sanctuary in Ruin.
So all of that was book 1, and this is part 2.
Is this a 7-part story? Bruh, I'm excited. Read.
All right. Chapter 2, Sanctuary in Ruin. The forest deepened the further they walked, not in color, but in weight. Branches knotted, coiled like coiled fingers, and the light that broke through the canopy no longer brought warmth.
Oh, sorry.
Trees grew too close together, leaves too thick, the underbrush silent. Even birds had abandoned the bows. Xiaomi led with practiced poise, one hand brushing the pommel of her sword with each step, the other held loosely at her side, petals occasionally trailing from her cloak as if sensing the rot ahead. Lycan walked just behind her, staff in hand, the base glowing faintly with sparks that hissed whenever it touched the damp earth. His eyes were narrowed, and the small flickers across his shoulders never stopped. Saturn walked without a sound. Even among the unnatural stillness, they were quieter. No one spoke until the air turned sour. Xiaomi halted. Do you smell that? Rot, pungent and spore-like. Something between burnt mushrooms and wet copper. They stepped into a clearing and stopped. It had once been a village. Circular stone walls, overgrown cobblestone paths, empty houses covered in vines. A crumbled arch still bore the word safe haven, barely legible beneath the layers of black fungal growth. The fungus pulsed faintly, like a thing with lungs.
Oh.
This is beyond decay, Saturn murmured. This is corruption. Lycan touched the wall. Static jumped between his fingers. The mana here has been altered. It's resisting the natural current. Something's anchoring it. Xiaomi moved toward a nearby shrine, brushing aside a vine only to reveal a skeletal hand fused into the stone. She turned sharply. We're not alone. A low sound crawled through the clearing, a scrape, metal against stone, then the thud of something heavy. Out from the rot-warped temple came the monster. It ducked through the archway, slow at first, then straight into its full unnatural height. 12 feet tall, massive shoulders hunched beneath the torn samurai robes. Their metal plating rusted, melted, fused into the flesh beneath.
Oh, what the heck? Dude,
Jagged black fungus. Jagged black fungus sprouted between the seams like tumors. From its wrists, 3-footed serrated blades extended like claws, scraping against the cobbles as it walked. And its face, or what had become of it, was a mutated, bloated version of a samurai mask. Twisted tusks, curled from its from its jaw. One glowing eye glared from behind the plating, but the helm, Saturn froze. That mask, they whispered. Musutashi clan. The High Mask. That's the clan master. Saomi blinked, startled. You've seen it? Only once, long ago. He was unstoppable. This means the corruption has direction. It's not random. Radville's guiding it. The creature let out a snarl, like grinding tombstones, and charged. The ground cracked beneath its weight. It moved faster than its size allowed, blades dragging sparks behind it. Saomi was the first to move. She pivoted, cloak flaring, dodging the first sweep by inches and slashing across the monster's knee. Her sword barely bit the armored, fused flesh, but it howled. It turned on her, slashing wildly. She leapt back into Lycan's zone. The warrior of sand and storm raised his staff, slammed it once into the earth. Lightning crackled upwards in a burst, striking the creature mid-charge. It staggered, skin bubbling, and swung both claws in a frenzied arc. Lycan ducked the first, parried the second with the staff's bronze shaft, then twisted and shoved the creature back with a pulse of desert wind. Sand exploded from his palms, forming a spiral that coiled around the monster's arm. Saturn stepped into the fray. They moved like a shadow, darting behind the monster in a blink, then slashing deep into the back of its knee with a crescent blade drawn from their cloak. The monster reeled, then twisted unnaturally, lashing out behind its elbow joint, rotating too far. It caught Saturn across the ribs and flung them like a rag doll through a wind wall. Saturn! Saturn! Lycan shouted, but had to shield himself as a claw swept inches from his face. Saomi didn't hesitate. She sprinted along the outer circle of the clearing, ducking behind the fungal-covered stones and striking only when the creature's guard opened. But the monster learned. It spun, caught her sword mid-swing and locked it between its claws and ripped it free. Saomi fell, breathless, and rolled just in time as one blade buried itself into the earth beside her. Before the second could fall, a thunderous roar split the air. Lycan raised both arms. Lightning surged from his staff, not toward the creature, but upward. Storm clouds formed in seconds, and from them descended a bolt shaped like a jackal's head, jaws wide, snapping shot over the monster's back in a crack of divine thunder. The corrupted samurai screamed and writhed, armor plates melting from its shoulders. Saomi, bloodied, eyes burning, spotted something. The neck joint, just beneath the fused shoulder. A gap part, flesh, part bone. Hold it, she shouted. Lycan answered, driving a bolt straight through the beast's thigh, pinning it briefly. Saomi leapt. The wind carried her. She landed on the creature's back, scrambling for footing. Her sword in both hands, she raised it high. It pierced flesh, then bone, then silence. The monster spasmed, one final heave, and collapsed like a crumbling statue, its limbs twitching before stilling. Saomi stood atop the corpse, panting, soaked in blood and rot. She looked to the others. Lycan, kneeling and scorched, gave her a tired nod. Saturn emerged from the rubble, bruised, quiet, staring at the mask. Saomi dropped from the body. Safe haven is gone, she said, wiping her blade. But its killer won't walk farther. Saturn walked up slowly, looking down at the corpse. He was a king once. They honored him. Saomi sheathed her sword. We honored him with the cleanest death we could give. Lycan stepped forward. And now we know the corruption is guided, directed. Saturn didn't speak. Their hand gripped the hilt at their side too tightly. But for now, none asked why.
Cinema?
Holy fucking shit!
Cinema?
Cinema!
Alright, put that back.
Cinema!
Part 3?
Yo, can we... Wait, at some point we should have, like, a rating contest, and we have, like, regardless of what everyone writes, like, everyone will get an award. I will make sure everyone gets an award, and I will make up an award category for everyone.
Sayomi's
I'm just
already
saying.
won. Sayomi's already won. Do you want to read this? Part 3?
Saturn ain't do shit that entire fight.
Dude, like you were hard carrying.
I was hard
y'all to read
carrying.
everything, but okay, never mind. I have to read it.
Wait, do you want to read it?
I'm doing stuff with my. Okay, I'll read it.
Okay, no, I can read it. I can read it.
Okay. Crownfall Saga by Tina Sayomi. The tree sanctuary wept when it spoke, not with tears, but with golden sap that flowed down its roots into the poisoned soil, purging it inch by inch. Its bark shifted, groaning like a beast, walking from centuries of sleep. The corrupted forest stilled. Sayomi stood with one hand on her blade, the other brushing the tree's bark. "You are bound," she said. "Now you're free." The tree pulsed with quiet warmth. Its voice echoed through their minds, not a sound, but a deep vibration in their bones. "You come from pain. Walk toward more." Lycan stood at attention, his staff grounded in the dirt. "We seek Radville. Then when you walk to death," the tree's words slowed like the turn of old pages. "North, through the sea. There lies the path." Saturn tilted their head. "That's vague." "Because it must be. Beyond the sea is the edge of all maps, and the path to her is hidden by spellcraft old as stars. Only one vessel can cross it, a ship forged under the flag of the Order of Peace."
Order of Peace mentioned!
Lycan snorted. "Peace? That's rich." The tree cracked softly, a chuckle or sigh. "Radville is wounded in their world. Who would have fought her? None who fought her have lived." At that, Saturn looked away. They left the forest at dawn. By midday, they were silently traveling northward over windland hills and bramble fields, following broken trade routes and the scent of salt in the far wind. By nightfall, they collapsed beneath a crooked birch. Sayomi leaned against a stone, her armor off a damp cloth pressed to her temple. "I thought Lightning Boy here was supposed to energize us." "I did," Lycan grunted. "I also walked 50 leagues, but I'm not a storm god." "Just a desert drama queen," Saturn muttered, lying flat on their back. "Careful," Lycan said. "You're still limping." "Your fault." "Everything's my fault." "Glad we agree." Sayomi smirked faintly. "If you two are done flirting, we're dying." A shadow passed over them. A wagon creaked into view. Wooden moss-covered, drawn by two-headed mule with an eye patch at the reins, sat a man in a... Lycan, what is going on in your background?
Babies.
Lycan, can you...
Yeah.
Can you mute your mic, Will?
Right. Got you.
Lycan's kids have emerged.
Kids have emerged. Wagon creaked into view, wooden, moss-covered, drawn by two-headed mule with an eye patch. At the reins sat a man in a sun hat with bells dangling from the brim. His cloak shimmered faintly in the moonlight, his mustache curled like the spiral of wind. He blinked. "Why are there bodies on my road?" Lycan groaned. "We're not dead." "Not yet, anyway," Naomi added. "I'm Wisp."
Wisp!
I'm Wisp. Sorry. Never mind. Fuck. I'm reading this as I go. I'm not reading ahead, so I don't know what voice to do until I see after it says, "I'm Wisp," the man said, hopping down. "And you look like you were melted, stomped, and rolled down a hill by the gods." Saturn sat up. "We're fine, just dehydrated." "Is that what they call poor planning these days?" They rested that night on Wisp's wagon. He brewed strange tea from a glowing herb and muttered to himself, and spoke of sandstorms and singing frogs, which he had offered to the guests. He even put an elementary level spell on Saturn's leg, giving him the ability to walk, even if just weakly. In the morning, Sayomi hesitated. "Thank you." Wisp tipped his hat. "Just keep walking forward, heroes. The world has need of you yet."
God,
The smell of salt returned, and with it, smoke. Hidden behind a rock shelf, they found it. A sprawling coastal camp of wagons, crates, and lanterns. Dozens of men in order of peace colors, hauling supplies to anchored ships. Saomi crouched low. This is where they feed her war. Saturn's eyes narrowed. Let's cut off her tongue. 1 second. There we go. They gathered in a thicket of brush, the ocean howling behind them. Saturn whispered an incantation. Blue glyphs flared briefly in the air, and each of them felt it, a pulse, clarity. They moved like ghosts. Saomi struck first, dropping a scout with the flat of her blade. Lycan followed, fists crackling with lightning, knocking men senseless with a single blows. Cool. Saturn threw a silent blade that pierced a soldier's shoulder and pinned him to a tree. They were clean, precise, until Saomi stumbled upon a lantern string. No! It shattered. Light flared. A shout ran out. Intrepid!
No! Why is Intrepid here?
Bellowed. Shut the fuck up. Let me read.
Sorry.
Sound the alarm! A wiry man near the command tent spun. His eyes burned with cruel joy. He drew 2 curved daggers, whispered something foul, and the shadows twisted. And then he lunged straight for Saturn. They met in a flurry of steel and darkness. Saturn blocked one blade, rolling past the second, flung a rune upward that sparked across Intrepid's mask. The general spat blood and spun, slashed again, fast, low, precise. You're the one with eyes, he hissed. You know, you remember her. She trained me, Saturn growled. You're not even a shadow of her. Around them, the camp burst into chaos. Lycan hurled 2 soldiers into a supply cart. Saomi disarmed 5 in the same sweep, dropping them with precise strikes that did not broke, but did not kill. Too many, Lycan shouted. We're outnumbered. Go. They began to sprint. Fighting as they moved, they neared the dock. Saturn followed quickly, hopped in the boat, and the group began moving out. Intrepid, bloodied but manic, raised both hands. A black orb formed between them, pulsing with wrongness. You won't lay a hand on Master. He leapt into the air above bay orbs swelling, with an arrow punched through his neck, and the dark sphere cracked and exploded. A shockwave thundered across the beach, blasting the camp into shrapnel and fire. The ship rocked hard but held, and the smog cleared, and the 3 of them looked up to the deck. Saomi stared at Saturn, whose crossbow still smoked. You shot him. Yes. In the throat. He was going to kill us. Saomi's hands clenched. We were winning. We could have. We were not winning, Saturn said coldly. The ship rocked again. The coast burned behind them. No one could see if anyone had survived. Saturn cleaned the crossbow. Lycan sat down, closed his eyes. Saomi sheathed her blade with trembling hands. They did not speak again for a long while. Only the waves spoke, and they said nothing.
Peak? Yo, why was Intrepid out here like Flotch?
Also, right. Shout out, you can tell I play D&D. Yippee.
Huge. Alright, throw me the book. Like, you can unmute,
okay,
by the way.
Let me...
You can unmute. You may unmute
1 second.
now.
Alright.
We're on the fucking go! I'm fucking overpowered!
Dude, bias Lycan put it up 3!
I think you underestimate the fact that I am still getting used to this setup.
Okay. Third one. Chapter 4, Heart of the Sea. The sea was too still. Not with calm of peace, but the hush of a world holding its breath before it screams. No gulls, no tide. The water shimmered like glass under a blood-orange moon. Saomi stood at the ship's bow, her arms crossed, her flowered cloak heavy with salt spray. Lycan stood beside her, his lightning dulled, the staff of scarlet stands planted like an anchor. Saturn leaned against the mast, silent, fingers twitching faintly with unease. We're being watched, Saomi said. Saturn's eyes narrowed. Then the ocean split. From the depths, a soundless roar shattered the stillness. Water churned skyward as something immense rose from below, an abomination of ink and bone, plated in kelp-colored armor and crowned with twisted horns. Tentacles coiled around its shoulders, eyes open across its torso. It towered over the ship. Lycan raised his staff. Lightning fell like judgment. Anubis, come forth! The storm answered. Thunder ripped the sky in half. Lightning twisted into shape, crackling bones and sand-forced muscle, sculpting a divine jackal of storm and fury. 20 stories tall, clad in translucent armor made of lightning itself. Its jaws roared open with pure electric charge. The Leviathan struck first, tentacles lashing from impossible angles, flinging sea water like falling towers. Anubis caught one, snapping it with his jaw. Another struck his side, sending shockwaves through the sea. A claw the size of a schooner swept towards the ship. Lycan gestured. Anubis intercepted, grabbing the limb and driving the Leviathan beneath the waves with a thunderous slam. The ocean exploded outwards. Water boiled from the lightning contact. A 1,000-foot whirlpool yawned open. They both vanished. Silence. Then the sea shattered. The Leviathan launched upwards, dragging Anubis skywards, tentacles coiling, teeth plunging into the storm beast's neck. Anubis bit back, jaws locking onto the creature's shoulders. His arms, woven from thunder itself, locked themselves around the monster. On deck, Saomi held the wheel with white knuckles. Ropes! Hold them tight! Shield the core! The ship's gonna break! Saturn warned. Arms raised as they summoned lair hexes of spectral black wood around the sails. The Leviathan shrieked, the sound splitting the sky. It reared back, charging energy in its chest, glowing sickly green. Runes etched in algae and hate lit up along its spine. It opened its jaws. Lycan's eyes widened. He placed his hand on the ship's rail. The storm jackal howled and surged upwards, dodging the energy blast that carved the sea in half for leagues. Lightning spiraled down its spine. With one massive leap, it soared in through the air above the Leviathan and came crashing down, driving the staff of scarlet sands into the monster's heart. The sea turned white with light. A boom deafened the world. The Leviathan spasmed, body detonating into steam, bones, and shattered abyss. The storm dissipated. Anubis faded to smoke. And the ship floated, scared, sails shredded, hull cracked but intact. The storm dissipated. Oh, same page. Saturn stared ahead, then muttered, "They know we're here." The air turned wrong. Space flexed like it might split. Saturn's hands flared with dark magic. Hold still. He cast a glyph into the air, a warning sigil born of forgotten tongues and cursed text. It passed through them all. Nausea lifted. Saturn exhaled. We nearly abstracted. The castle's magic twists reality. Saomi turned. There it was, floating above jagged cliffs. Radville's castle. Obsidian towers spiraled upwards like a crown. Inverted runes orbited the fortress like moons. At its heart, a singular red flame burned within a glass sphere, rotating in silence. On the balcony stood Radville. Her cloak was shadows, stitched in motion. Her face covered by a jeweled mask. Her eyes glowed with mocking purple flame. "Little heroes," she said, her voice clear, though the air did not carry it. "You've arrived, and you've brought blood. I do love gifts." She reached into her sleeve, pulled out an ender eye, cracked and pulsing, then threw it. Dude, Lycan is so great! Lycan, why are you so overpowered?
I don't fucking know!
Why do you have an Anubis construct? What is this? Okay,
God, I love this. See, here's my thing is I exist at such a weird point in this lore that I do not get involved in any fanfic unless it's weird. The only time I am involved in lore is when it's fucking weird.
Alright.
Dude, Lycan, why do you have like a freaking Anubis kaiju? Why was there a kaiju battle?
I need to be nerfed!
Dude, Lycan's OP. Someone
And Rap's supposed to be stronger than me?
What?
Radville's supposed to be stronger than me, allegedly?
I guess so.
So what the fuck is Radville gonna pull?
Dude, everyone's been fighting for their life so far. We're all dead.
Chapter 5. Infinity's Castle. When the Ender Eye struck the blackened earth below Radville's flowing castle, it didn't break. It opened. The ground screamed. A rift tore across the hilltop, exhaling ash and sulfur. The stone boiled. Roots withered instantly, and from the crack, something crawled out, not born, but unforgiven. The creature unfolded its limbs with fluid and unnatural grace. 12 feet tall, 4 arms bristling with rust-stained scythes. Each blade was jagged and chipped, like butcher's tools dredged from a battlefield. Its skin was sickly pale, stretched tight across bones that jutted like blades. Red glyphs burned across its stomach, chest, and spine, glowing like brands on cursed flesh. Its green eyes glared at the group. His jaw twitched and cracked. From its torso, something pulsed. A core, round and exposed, glowing dim green through cracked ribs. Saomi took one step back, her fingers tightening on the hilt of her blade. Lycan's breath froze in his throat. Even his lightning hesitated. The creature lunged.
Oh, I hate this.
It moved impossibly fast. 4 scythes came down like guillotines. Saomi rolled aside just as one carved a trench into the stone where she stood. Lycan blocked the slash with the staff of scarlet sands, only to be thrown back yards by force. Saturn hurled a bolt of shadow, but the creature caught it, and ate it.
No!
The monster twisted midair, 2 blades dragging against the rock, throwing sparks, and the other two striking in rapid succession. Saomi parried once, twice, then caught a cut across her shoulder that nearly split her armor.
Oh no.
Lycan surged lightning into the ground. Earth cracked. Static burst skyward in a golden arc. He drove a bolt directly into the beast's spine. It roared, but didn't fall.
Oh no.
Instead, it spun inhumanely, pivoting its spine like a serpent, blade slicing toward Lycan's throat. Saturn appeared, intercepting the strike with a shimmering sigil, a blood seal. The scythe bounced off, but shattered the seal and sent Saturn skidding across the battlefield. "We can't take it in pieces," Lycan shouted. "We need one clean finish." "It's the core," Saturn yelled. "The orb in his chest. It's healing from it." Saomi's eyes locked onto the weak point. Lycan charged first, summoning a storm within his veins. Lightning sparked from his skin, each footfall blowing gravel from the path. He leapt, staff first, slamming the monster into the gut. With such force it launched backwards, tumbling into a hill of shattered stone. Saturn raised both hands. Darkness bled from his palms, coiling through the ground like snakes. The earth cracked open, shifting terrain. Boulders rolled, terrain sharpened. The creature snarled, but adjusted instantly, catching itself mid-fall and flinging a scythe into the ground to anchor its weight. Then it screamed. The air rippled with unseen force, and it tore loose 2 of its own arms. It threw them. The limbs, still armed with blades, spun like death wheels. One slammed into Saturn's barrier, shattering it. The second embedded it into the ground inches from Saomi's throat. Then the monster ran, on all 6 limbs, its remaining scythes dragging behind it like talons. It closed the distance to Saturn in a heartbeat. A kick landed, ribs cracked, Saturn flew, cratered into a tree, coughing blood. They stood, but barely. The creature advanced, scythes raised, carving spirals in the air. Saomi moved. Saturn summoned every ounce of energy, casting sigils mid-breath. Now! The earth buckled beneath the monster. Its foot caught in a glyph-warped stone. Saomi launched herself into the air, petals trailing from her cloak like a comet of flame. Her blade gleamed. She beheaded the creature mid-lunge, spinning past the follow-through. The mask hit the ground, but the core still pulsed. The body shuddered, and then Lycan. He surged through the smoke, staff blazing like a solar flare, and brought it down on the core with all the wrath of a dying star. The orb shattered. The shockwaves flattened trees. The body crumpled. The sides switched once. Then, silence and smoke. Saturn dropped to one knee. Saomi was there in an instant, hands already bloodied from the battle. You're stabbed. You've been poisoned.
No.
I've been worse, Saturn said through gritted teeth. That poison is meant to kill monsters, Saomi hissed. It is worse. Lycan knelt beside them, placing his hand near Saturn's shoulder, but hesitated. Saomi looked at him. What are we going to do? What are we waiting for? Lycan stared at the still glowing corpse. Radville's not going to wait while we argue. We don't know if she saw us kill it. Saturn chuckled weakly. Oh, she saw.
Saturn's so dead.
Saomi looked down at Saturn's chest blood soaked through the layers of armor, his breath shallow. Still, he grinned. Saomi's fist clenched, but she nodded. Lycan stood, tightening his gloves. Then we move. Now. Behind them, the last bits of ash blew from the monster's cracked body. Ahead, Radville's castle glowed in the dusk like a wound in the sky.
Dude, I'm so excited. Can I please read the next one? I think it's gonna be Radville. Also, R.I.P. Saturn. Kiwi,
I don't want to read. I want you guys to read the saga. I like sitting and watching. I think you guys misunderstand how much I hate reading from paper. I like reading from improv or from my own custom thing because here's the thing. I am pretty fucking blind. So I really struggle to read this because the Minecraft font is weird. Also, sometimes the text will not adjust to my settings that make all of my text bigger.
Oh yeah, sometimes the text is weird. I don't know why. All right. I'm so excited. The harbinger of all evil. This is Radville. Are you ready?
All right, I'm ready. Lock it.
The throne room of Radville's castle was a wound in the world. Great obsidian arches spiraled like petrified screams. Magic shimmered through the air like heat off of a forge, distorting light, distorting truth. The very stone trembled under the weight of her presence. Radville stood at the end of the hall. Her cloak billowed, ink woven into shape. The hammer in her hand pulsed with a dark starfire, a weapon carved from the bones of a forgotten titan and fueled by curses only she remembered. Each time she shifted her grip, it groaned like a dying god. Her eyes burning, amethyst pierced through like Saomi and Saturn. Oh, her eyes burning amethyst pierced through. Okay. You've made it farther than most, she said, calm, cruel. I almost regret what comes next. Lycan stepped forward, the staff of scarlet stands at his back, lightning skimmering beneath his skin. You banished yourself, he said, and you'll answer for that. Radville smiled. Then let's have the thunder one last time. She struck the ground first. The hammer's blow split the stone and created a shockwave that cracked the far walls. Lycan was airborne before he could react, skidding across the floor. Saomi leapt in front of him, casting a wall of glimmering spores, thick as a mist. The spores danced between realities, deflecting hexes and muting magical signatures. Behind them, Saturn vanished into the shadows. Lycan roared, lightning coursing down his arms as he drew forth a divine sigil, etching into golden quartz. It burned against his skin, and when he pressed it into his chest, his entire form ignited. An aura of storm armor enveloped him, eyes white with power, the staff crackling, howling with desert fury. He charged. Their clash shook the world. Each of Lycan's strike fell like a divine judgment. The walls shook, the roof cracked with every blow. The weather changed, lightning forked through the throne room. Thunder rolled like cavalry over stone. Radville never flinched. She met him, blow for blow, her hammer swinging in deadly arcs. Every strike released a detonation of wind, forcing Saomi to conjure shield after shield, just to keep from being ripped from the ground. Lycan ducked, a swing came up with a bolt of... Lycan ducked a swing, came up with a bolt to the jaw, but Radville twisted unnaturally, hammer slamming down, sending a crater through the floor and knocking Lycan off his feet. Saomi's spores thickened, shielding him, diverting hexes meant to cripple. Radville turned, gaze sharpening. She charged, not towards Lycan, but towards Saomi. Saomi conjured petals to blind her, but they burned away before they left her hand. She raised her blade. Too slow. Radville's hammer struck her square in the chest. Armor shattered. The blow flung her through the air into a pillar, where she crumpled like a snapped reed. Saomi! Lycan screamed. He charged again, throwing his staff like a lightning javelin. Radville caught it. She laughed. Your gods are dead, she whispered and slammed her hammer into him. The sigil armor cracked, then shattered. Lycan flew backwards, sliding next to Saomi, grasping for air, bleeding through his tunic. Radville stepped into the light of the burning hall. Do you understand now? She said. This was never about kingdoms or conquest. She looked into the distant horizon through the ruined window. I was exiled, forgotten by a princess too young to understand what her ancestors stole. You call her I call her a thief. Her hammer pulsed. With the mantra awakened in you, Lycan, I can end the world that betrayed me. Saturn was still standing. They stepped into the light. Skin torn, glyphs glowing red, not black. Their chests split open like a shattered gate. Shadows poured from them. Enjoy the fall, they whispered, and tore the core of the castle from beneath their feet. The entire structure buckled, gravity warping inwards. Runes exploded. The floating throne room began to collapse, folding in on itself with Radville at the center. No, she hissed. No! A second later, it exploded. The eruption lit the sky with a violet flame. The shockwave tore through the air. Obsidian rained from the heavens. But within the storm, Saturn stood, casting a shield over Lycan and Saomi. Their arm was already gone. It had to go, lest the poison would have taken them long ago. Their body broken and scarred. When it ended, the castle was gone. Only shattered floating stone and ash remained. And Saturn collapsed. Lycan crawled towards him, bloodied and bruised. Saomi followed, barely able to stand. Saturn's skin was scorched, and his chest a ruin of flesh and ash. His breath shallow, his blood black. Saomi knelt. Saturn. Don't, he whispered. She is dead. I can rest. What the heck?
What the fuck? It ends there?
Wait, there's one more. There's one more.
Read it.
Saturn the goat. Alright. Please, Lycan cook.
Okay. Epilogue.
Dude, everyone died.
Bro!
The gates of Logsat opened to silence. The guards stepped back, hands instinctively going to weapons, only to freeze when they saw what remained of the heroes. Saomi's armor was torn to ribbons. Her once golden cloak used as a tourniquet across her thigh. Lycan leaned on her, one arm in a sling fashioned from the lining of his own coat, the staff of scarlet sands now bound to his back with twine and prayer. Between them, a wagon, wheels groaning under a still cloaked form. The townsfolk gathered slowly. No one cheered. Some gasped. Others wept. Saomi's knees buckled just as the fountain came into view. Lycan's strength gave way beside her. The last thing either of them saw before darkness took them was the crystal dome of the hospital tower, rising like a beacon over their broken kingdom.
I thought it ended
woke in bed. No, it doesn't end there. They woke in beds, wrapped in cloth that shimmered with healing spells. Potions bubbled on nearby pedestals, and the air was thick with the scent of burning herbs and old lavender. Crystals glowed faintly, drawing pain from their skin and stitching magic through their wounds. Saomi stirred first. Across from her, Lycan slept like a man downed and dragged back to shore. His chest was bound in soft metal thread bandages, his breath shallow but steady. To her right, Saturn laid still. Too still. He was covered in white cloth, save for his face. Pale. Ash-gray veins creeping near his heart. His right arm gone entirely. His chest gouged hollow. No heartbeat magic. No pulse runes. No glyph of returning. Just stillness. And at his feet, kneeling in a dress of gentle pink silk, Rei. The princess looked up. Her eyes sparkled. Saomi barely had time to react before Rei threw herself into her arms, hugging her tightly.
That's where I was.
Saomi winced, but returned the embrace. So did you. Lycan stirred. Did we win? Rei nodded, but her eyes didn't match the smile on her lips. You did. The garden was quiet that evening, framed by trellises of moonbloom and silver lilies. Magic drifted in the air like dust. The sky was clear, too clear, as if washed clean by all they'd lost. Saomi sat on a marbled bench, dressed in loose linen, her sword beside her like a tired dog. Rei joined her, silent for a time. She leaned in, resting her head on Saomi's shoulders. You really are amazing, Rei murmured. Saomi chuckled softly. Anything for my princess. Rei didn't laugh. Instead, she stared ahead. I'm not your princess anymore. Saomi turned. What? In the months you were gone, Rei's voice was soft, edged with heartbreak. The court called it foolish. They said I risked the lives of heroes for fantasy. Called me young, reckless. Said I was unfit for the crown. Did they try to remove you? Saomi asked. No. But they whispered, and the whispers echoed. Rei folded her hands in her lap. I stepped down, Saomi. I abdicated. Before they could turn those whispers into daggers. Saomi was silent for a long while. Then she asked, and now? I don't know, Rei said. But when I heard you'd survived, when I saw you again, that was the first time I felt like myself in weeks. Saomi looked at her, then reached out, lacing their fingers together. We might not have thrones, Saomi said, but we're still here, together. Rei leaned into her again. And for once, under that moon, neither of them needed to be strong.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
The end.
There's like 30. Oh no, oh no, oh
wait,
no.
Wait, end credit scene.
There's a teaser.
Okay. The rubble of the floating castle lay like broken bones across some fucking notifications. The rubble of the floating castle lay like broken bones across a blackened mountain range, miles from where the world still dared to speak. Ash drifted gently from the sky, coating fractured spires and molten craters. Wind hissed through the ruins, carrying no birdsong, only the crackle of magic that had not yet decided that it was dead.
Oh my god.
The stone beneath the ruins began to shift. First, a tremor, then a quake, and then a hand.
Oh my. No.
From the edge of a shattered arch, Intrepid emerged,
No!
tattered and bandaged, one eye missing, the side of his face melted into a permanent sneer. He held something in his hand, a rune, crude but pulsing, as though it breathed. He looked down at the hand, then he smiled, laughed louder. Did he fucking save Radville?
Oh my god. Saomi, is there a part 2? Is there a chapter 2, a book 2? Please, I need more. I need more. I need more. Please tell me there'll be more.
There has to be.
Absolute cinema, dude. That was peak. Okay. There's three more. Which one do you want us to
Sorry,
read
wait, I
first?
just realized I was muted. On the lesbian university grant, you know what we should give Saomi, I'm gonna give you access to my land. And on lesbian university, I would like to give you a little area where you're gonna build a lesbian bookstore. a bookstore for all your books, for your whole little book company. I would like to have it on Lesbian University grounds.
I have not read a book that moved me so much like that.
Well, maybe because you were broken in
Whoa.
there. I don't mean to say that, but
It's not even just that. The story was fucking good. That was amazing.
no, that was peak. The cliffhanger.
That was-
I'm sorry, that cliffhanger.